at title, which was the second in school history to go along with their title back in 2015. They beat Adams State by a pretty wide margin. In fact, that 57-point final score for Mines back in 2019 was the largest win in this championship meet in some 10 years' time. So can Mines go back-to-back as national champions? They've kind of been at the top of the sport this spring with Grand Valley State, the Lakers, and Jerry Baltz, who won this championship in 2018. What do they have in store today for this race? And will anybody be able to knock off American International's Ezra Mutai, the sophomore who won this championship 2 years ago, just won the East Regional by a whopping 1 minute and 40 seconds. He returns to defend his title. He's in box 35, all the way on the left-hand side of your screen. Colorado Mines, a few boxes over, box 29. Grand Valley State starting all the way over in box 6 today, as they try and make their way up the hill. It's a little narrow the first couple of 100 meters, finally kind of bottlenecks as we'll get this race underway in just a few seconds' time. They're to the line, 10,000 meters to determine a national champion. And they are underway, a sprint up the hill. And the sun back out again. We do not anticipate there's going to be any heavy moisture that's going to slow down this field. And a pretty healthy sprint out. A little dip here you have to be wary of. Come through a low area, now back up the rise. And it appears that on the left side of the screen, Mutai got out to a very fast start, as we would expect up the hill. Try and win this title again. That is the case. Ezra Mutai wears bib 29 in this race. 34 teams, 24 individuals. And there is the reigning champ, who wants to go wire to wire to win this race again. So already a quick sprint, and about 6 athletes wanting to go with it. A little stumble there behind Mutai. Ryan Hartman. Matthew Fowler from Catawba up near the top. Patrick Kipper, freshman from Fresno Pacific, wants to shock a few in the field. It's Ryan Riddle from Missouri Southern, the big yellow jersey that was tucked in right behind Mutai. He won the Central Regional. He's coming in off of 5 straight wins. Will he be the #1 threat to Ezra Mutai, the sophomore from Eldoret, Kenya? Also won the 10,000 meter outdoors earlier this year. Mines with Dylan Powell, the RMEC and South Central Regional champion, won both of those races by 20 seconds or more. A real serious flex at the beginning of this 10,000 meters by some of the best runners in the country to separate quickly and challenge anybody else that wants to be to the front to match this very quick pace. Mutai winning this championship in 2019 with a time of 29 minutes, 31.2 seconds. Well off the 1993 10,000 meter record of Shane Healy from Adams State, but impressive nonetheless. So it's Mutai, Kiprup, and Riddle, 1, 2, and 3, with Dylan Powell from Mines tucked in, making it a group of 4 at the front of this pack. There you see 2 from the Lakers. A lot of black jerseys. Wingate, first ever Southeast Regional champion. Their women are coming off a 5th place finish. How about that? 19 spots better than their highest performance in the national meet. There could be more than one winner in many ways in these meets, and the ladies from Wingate doing that just earlier today. Congratulations to Adams State, the 2021 champions on the ladies' side. The men come in 13-time national champions for the Grizzlies, but are going to need a really, really good race if the Grizzlies are going to continue a streak of finishing first or second in this championship meet, which they have done 16 of the last 17 NCAA championship competitions. A massive scrum from a position about 10 all the way to the back of the field once you get away from the front, as they whip around this farthest corner from where we began the start. A full 1,000 meters into this race, and we'll start getting 1,300 meter times coming up here at the top of the board. Mutai setting the pace. A quartet. Kiprop, then Powell with Ryan Riddle and that long frame right behind, as these four appear to be the ones willing to make it go at a faster pace to start. And what makes it so fascinating in all of this is that you have really all four of these runners at the front of this race, with the exception of Dylan Powell, competing really for themselves. They have teams here. Mutai's got the rest of his Yellow Jackets from American International here, but certainly don't have the depth to compete with Mines or Grand Valley State. Patrick Kiprop from Fresno Pacific, who's hasn't lost a race this year, certainly running for his own personal glory. And you could say the same for Ryan Riddle from Missouri Southern. The Lions are here, the Central Regional champions, but likely know it's going to take a perfect run today. So especially if you're Dylan Powell for Mines and you want to best this field, lead your team to a victory, you don't want to be dictated necessarily by the pace, but again, such a great, solid runner. He thinks that he can not only finish high for his team, but also grab a spot for his own at the top of the board. There are the Grand Valley State Lakers, Harding and Chata together. I wonder if there's going to be a kick from Isaac Harding, the GLIAC champion. Didn't run at the regionals, but did run second to Mutai outdoors in the 10,000 meters. Is he going to try and put a little kick on? We saw the kick from the Lakers ladies earlier today. Hannah Becker and Claudia O'Malley sort of hung back from the very, very front of the race before pulling away and finishing 1-2. GVSU not enough at the 3, 4, and 5 spots to best Adams State. All right, officially at 1,300 meters, it was Adams State, I should say unofficially, but we've had enough runners cross at 1,300 meters to get a handle of this. Adams State, the leader, over Grand Valley State, Western Colorado, Augustana, and American International, your 1 through 5. So Mines at that juncture slotting into 6th, but again, so many runners at the same time, takes a lot of time for the chips to relay the proper scores. Great golf course property layout here, which allows for the fans to stream across and get to various junctures of this. It's a really great spectator view because you can find your way very easily to about 7 or 8 spots without traveling too much distance to watch this race. Riddle is not maintaining the pace at the front. It's a trio now between Powell and Kiprop keeping the pace with Ezra Mutai. Weave their way around this little corner, then they'll make a big right-hand sweeping turn before you get another straightaway, and that's what the top 3 find themselves in now. And Powell puts his shoulder in front of Mutai, give the reigning champion an indication that he is going to be completely game for a sprint all the way to the finish in this 10,000 meter race. The always loaded South Central region won this year by Dylan Powell from Mines, and he goes stride for stride right now with the East Regional champion in Ezra Mutai. You see those very distinctive Adams State jerseys. They had done enough, at least at the 1,300-meter split, to lead this race. Will they have the fitness to maintain those positions? Unofficially, with all 5 runners inside the top 30, Grand Valley State number 5 runner was 76th, which is hurting the Lakers' chances right now. Can they improve upon that? It was Andrew Hyland who was slightly off the pace. (3,000-meter splits will start to come our way. They cross that threshold here in that straightaway before making a slight left-hand turn. A blistering pace set by the front. Really stretched out this field, not even to the halfway point. And the most impressive thing about this sport is not the speed, it's not the pace, it's the patience. For those runners trying to understand their limits, what they are capable of, what they can do to make sure they can maximize and finish as high enough for their teams. Kiprop has dropped off of the pace. Powell refuses to let Mutai go. And as the 3,000-meter splits start to trickle in, it appears that Mines has made up significant ground from those 1,300-meter splits. Enough to make it nearly a dead heat in the top 3 between Mines, Adams State, and Grand Valley State. .34.4, the split time at 3,000 meters for these two up front. So past the box, up this hill, the first time sprinting away from the rest of the pack. This time, this duo sprinting away from everybody. They will have to do this climb one more time in this race. There's Ryan Riddle. He lost the pace and he's trying to maintain it out of the sprint. Good run from Carly Stimpfel from Saginaw Valley, maintaining a top 5 position. But look at the gap that the top 2 have put, not just on 3rd, but then all the way back to a scrum running 4th through 8th, and then the rest of the field. This is what Mutai did at the East Regional, admittedly not one of the stronger of the regionals in the country when he won by 1:40, but both he and Dylan Powell making everybody quite foolish. A little peek there from Mutai over his right shoulder. Two races within one, but only one man on this screen. And these top 2 is also trying to pull along his entire team behind him for a national championship. Again, yes, Mutai does have his American International teammates here, but you're facing the #1 ranked team in the country in the Ore Diggers of Colorado School of Mines, and Dylan Powell's trying to finish first, not second, knowing that that one position may be the difference in a national championship run, and you're trying to earn that one extra point by sprinting alongside the fastest man in Division II men's cross country over the last couple of years, with the lost season in 2020. Pacing themselves here as they fall down the hill. After making the turn, they'll turn back to the left-hand side. As more results came in, 3,000 meters, it could not be closer. Mines 91 points, Adams State 92, Grand Valley State 97, 6 points separating first and third at the 3,000 meter mark. Mines with Powell in first. I should say Powell was second at that split, just behind Mutai. This juncture, you're just counting jerseys. How quickly can you find your top 5? I can find the top 2. We're going to get split times here of just how big the gap is as we have reached the halfway mark of this 10,000 meter race, at least for the leaders. Made that turn. Little elevation here. They'll shift and get a bit of a breather. They come down to complete 6,000 meters in this race. Again, it's just a 2 out front, so the splits are going to be coming at sort of awkward times. We have 4,300 meter numbers coming to us right now, while Mutai and Powell are already heading past the 5,000 meter mark. Again, slowly working through the pack, it appears, at least at the top, that Grand Valley State had made up some ground at the 4,300 split from where we were at 3,000. They had their 4 and 5 runners come across before Colorado School of Mines. And speaking of Mines, at the front, now Dylan Powell decides to challenge the champion. He sprints ahead past the midway point, trying to put down the afterburner here, open up some space. What a run, perhaps, in the making here for Dylan Powell. 2 sophomores at the top of the sport. There you see the Lakers tucked into one another, maintaining really strong upper-level positions. That's why Grand Valley State at 4,300 was shown at the moment ahead by just 5 points. What changes will we see in the second half of this race? But Powell exerting a lot of energy, but doing so in a dominating way, leaving Mutai in his dust now 8-9 seconds behind to the reigning champion. Looking over his shoulder. Powell appears to feel very comfortable with the pace he is running. Again, had no one within striking distance in any of his postseason meets when it came to the end. A 20-second win at the loaded RMAC Championship. A 27-second win at the loaded South Central Regional Championship. run of the life right now for Dylan Powell, and hoping that it's going to be enough for his team behind, who are in an absolute fight right now. Trying to hold on to the top spot. And how big a #1 finish could be for the Ore Diggers. Trying to go back-to-back as national champions, become 3-time national champions. Mutai definitely fading. You can even see the pack that begins with 3rd position starting to get closer to Mutai than Mutai is to Powell up at the front of this race. Third and 4th running right now for Grand Valley State. Chada and Harding leading that charge for the Lakers. And 2 across for Adams State, Carson Bix and Ahmed Sato. But giving up position, and there you see that battle. A Laker right next to a Grizzly. Good team depth if they can maintain those positions with the depth right now of Mines. Perhaps even greater. Mutai in 2nd still. He's found a little bit better fitness. There come Harding and Chada, stride for stride with each other. Dylan Coe was the 2nd Ore Digger with his teammate Powell out front. But right now, no challenge being offered to the sophomore Dylan Powell. Trying to become the first Ore Digger to win an individual championship. And unless he has gone too fast for his own fitness, he is in complete control of this race. Still a long 7-8 minutes. You see the breeze whipping across from his right-hand side. Just alone with his thoughts and his own pacing. Hugging that line, minimizing the centimeters he has to cover to get all the way to the finish. Mutai is, in his defense, sort of held on to the gap now behind a 2nd, but he's getting reeled in by the duo in 3rd and 4th. Oh, Powell really driving the legs to get up the hill. Oh, he's falling forward. Powell in pain and hurting, and he just can't maintain the pace, and now crawls. Ran himself out coming up the hill. Has to figure it out. And a disastrous position here for the Ore Diggers as he tries to find his legs. A dramatic turn in this race. Mutai caught by the Lakers duo. Harding and Chada go right by. Again, that hill was going to be such a big part of this race the last time they have to run it, and it's the Grand Valley State duo that was prepared the most to be able to make it happen. It was an incredible pace by Dylan Powell, but a somewhat stunning development in this race for the defending champions to have that happen. And if you were Ezra Mutai, you're thinking, okay, here's my chance. But the duo now of Harding and Chada have taken over control of this race. And like the ladies did before, and we could have a 1-2 finish for Grand Valley State. And how big that could be for the Lakers in trying to win another national championship. Chada, a quick turn and look at his teammate Harding. And how helpful this must be to have a training partner, a friend alongside to pull you along the last 1,000+ meters. We've also lost live timing and scoring, at least from our position here, so not getting a good idea of where things are shaking out at the remaining splits. We're going to get splits at 8,000 and 8,800, but nothing delivered here. We're just watching the drama unfold at the front of the pack. The shocking fall by Dylan Powell, who ran out of gas trying to head up the hill. Mutai has been caught and passed. Carly Stimpful from Saginaw Valley's slid into the third position, it appears, behind this duo. Mutai's run as national champion appears to be over unless he can find something and dig deep. There goes Stimpful. And now the lead ore digger at the front of the pack is Dylan Coe. And there is no sign right now of Dylan Powell, who got back to his feet but did not look well when he climbed that hill for a third time. So with the top lead runner out and laboring, and there's still no Powell here as we make our way through this pack, the ore diggers' chances looking pretty bleak right now, and a massive opening for Grand Valley State, or even for Adams State if they can reel a few in. The humidity certainly something to deal with. Many of these runners coming from campuses of elevation but drier climates. And for the Grand Valley State duo of Isaac Harding and Tanner Chada out in front, tested in those hills you could find along the coast. In Western Michigan, you certainly get some late summer heat and humidity to deal with in training. Coming to Florida, not as much of a physical challenge. And there is nobody that's going to catch this duo at the front, just a couple of minutes away from the finish line. You see Mutai has gotten caught by several other runners, so he will not repeat as champion. Another Laker, a couple of ore diggers trying to find anything as they make their way towards the tape. Well, the wind's going to make this last little sprint even that more challenging. We've already seen the hills of this Abbey course, which is relatively flat, to be honest, completely gobble up the ore digger Dylan Powell, who sprinted ahead and just gave himself a pace that was unsustainable. Chada holding that inside line, trying to make it 1-2 on the finish, but in front of him, Isaac Harding, transferred to Grand Valley State from Michigan, finished second in the outdoors, the 10,000 meters. He makes the turn to the finish line, puts some distance between he and his teammate, and it appears the Lakers are going to go 1-2 in this meet as well, as Isaac Harding is a Division II individual champion. Chada falls behind him. 1-2 for the Lakers. What a run. They leave it all out there. Harding still on his feet, cooling down in this humidity. In a meet that will be talked about for a long time. That's a pumped up young man right there. An unsustainable pace from Dylan Powell from Colorado School of Mines in their hopes of going back-to-back as NCAA champions. Bit of a downhill sprint as they continue to fly across the finish line. Now every position really mattering. Again, we don't have official timing coming in. The system has been down for much of this race. So we're going to wait and see as runners come across exactly what the end result might be. But if there was any sharing of information, as soon as Dylan Powell went down for Mines, Adams State, Grand Valley State, the position battles became even more important. Trying to clear the chute to get runners through. But a brutally, physically taxing race has taken its toll in some of the most dramatic ways. And you can really see how it's spaced out this field at 10,000 meters. Grand Valley State in phenomenal position at the end of this race to win its second national championship. Crossed over that threshold in 2018 with the title. And could be champions again this year thanks to the 1-2 finish from Isaac Harding and Tanner Chada.
Let's give him a nice round of applause. Number 4 today in the men's championship with 2 points, Augustana out of South Dakota.